So if you dig deeper, okay, so here this is the now SCSI adapter, no, not this one. No, not this one. Yep. So this is the way you would see it. So if you look at your fiber channel card, um, this is basically for the path that they are showing. How about this one? Yep. You see a fiber channel card. So this is the way it would basically come up over here. So the point that I'm trying to say over here is that when you look at these cards, okay, you would have a dedicated option over here. Here you see that it's an 8 gig fiber channel host. So your fiber channel card can be of 4 gig, 8 gig, 16, 32, 64, 128. 128 is too expensive. Okay. Generally, you would have a 32-bit or a 64-bit. That is what you will have. That also depends on your organization. But once you have installed the card, once you've installed the drivers, and this is the way it will basically come up over here, and this is how it should look like. You would see that you would have a heading of a fiber channel, and then under that you would see your cards over there. Okay. Okay. Um, so that is how you will set up the card. Now, once the card is set up, okay, once you see the card, then what would happen? So basically, what would happen at that point of time is, let's say that you have an ESXi, you have a fiber channel switch, and let's say that you have a storage box. Okay. Now here you have an HBA. Okay. Here you have an HBA, and the cable basically connects over here, and then you have connectivity in this manner. So what the storage guy needs to do on the fiber channel switch, they need to do something called as zoning. Zoning is a configuration that the storage guy will do on the fiber channel switch so that the ESXi and the storage can basically see one another. Okay. They can see one another. They're able to, so if you carve out any LUN over here, this LUN is presented on ESXi1. This can only happen when you do zoning. So think about zoning as a bridge. Think about it that this is a bridge between connecting ESXi and the storage. Okay. So when you're managing the environment, you will hear the storage guy saying that, I've configured the zoning and now I can basically present the volumes. So zoning is something that has to be done on every ESXi. So for example, as soon as you have another ESXi, you have the HBA, which is getting connected over here. So the storage guy will have to do zoning for ESXi 02, then ESXi 03. So this is a one-time activity they need to do, the zoning.
Okay,
And
are they
then
doing the zoning on the switch or on the a configuration on the ESSI?
it's not a configuration on the ESXi. This is something they have to do on the fiber channel switch.
Okay.
On the ESXi, you do nothing. On the ESXi, you simply install the card, make sure that the drivers are recognized. It is getting listed over there. And then the numbers that I was telling you, WWNN and WWPN, you basically share those numbers with the storage guy. Okay. How would you see those numbers? These are the numbers that you will see over here. So these numbers that you see over here, these numbers are the WWNN and WWPN. So when you pick these numbers and just do a copy paste, to your storage team, that's about it. You see this number entire over here, WWNN number. You give this number to them. So the first set of the number is WWNN, and then the other one is basically the port number. So this is how you basically would see it over there. Okay. All right. So this is how you basically set up a fiber channel. And these are the configurations that you have to do, and this is how we go about doing it. Any questions on fiber channel if you have?
No,
Okay.
no question.
Now let's finish the FT configuration once because this is going to take time. So you see over here that I configured FT. The primary, which is the original copy of the machine, is basically running on ESXi 4. Okay. And then you see that it also created a secondary FT and that is running on ESXi 6. Now what will happen is if I kill ESXi 4, you would see that the ping to the machine will continue to work and the ping will not go down. Right now, the ping you see on the higher side around 20 milliseconds or 30 milliseconds is because that, the simultaneous replication has to happen. And you can see the same thing over here as well. When you come over here, you see that, the replication is happening over here and it has to basically make sure that, those two machines are in sync. That's the reason you see that the latency is on the higher side over here. So whenever you enable FT, keep in mind that the latency will go on the higher side. Similarly, would happen from the operating system as well. So from the operating system, I'm basically trying to ping google.com and you see the latency, it is going at 36, 25, 50 milliseconds, sometimes even higher than that. So this is happening because there is a replication that is happening. Now, again, this is a lab. I do not have any certified hardware. In production, you will see a latency on the higher side, but not as high as you see over here because I don't have any certified tools over here. Okay. Now I will log into my base ESXi and I will kill ESXi 4 over there. So I would log into the machine and you see that, the primary one is basically running on ESXi 4. Okay. So I'm going to kill ESXi 4 and on ESXi 4, I only have one virtual machine and then, let's see what happens over here. So you see I've got an ESXi 4 over here. If I initiate a continuous ping to ESXi 4, so if I copy this, I come over here, I say ping -t. It is responding on the IP15 over here. So if you see over here, this is responding again on the IP15. Now I will come over here, go to power, and I would say power off. I power off this machine now. Now the difference, the ping to the IP to the VM. You see that there was one ping loss and the ping comes back online. The latency you see that was on the higher side, but now it changes to 1 millisecond. Why 1 millisecond? Because no replication is happening. Because you only have one copy. Okay. The ESXi has gone down, but the ping to the virtual machine kept on working. So now if you see over here, and if you go to the production, you see that the ESXi 4 is in the disconnected state, and the ESXi 6, which was earlier secondary for me, now becomes the primary. This switchover happens automatically. You don't have to do anything. Okay. The important thing is that you did not lose a ping. That is what FT is all about, making sure that you have a redundant copy. Okay. Any questions on this practical that I did over here?
No, 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 no.
Okay. Now the question is, how do you get the secondary copy back? Now you only have one copy over here. So if you go to the virtual machine right now, so if I duplicate this tab, and if you go to VM01, okay, you see that not protected. Need secondary VM. Why? Because the primary went down, the secondary became primary, and I do not have a secondary right now. Okay, so you see over here, the secondary says unknown over here. It is in the disconnected state. Now, what do you do? How do you get the secondary? So to get the secondary, you just need to wait for 5 or 10 minutes, and that's about it. And then the secondary will come online, it will get powered on, and everything will happen automatically. You don't have to do anything. You just need to wait for 5 or 10 minutes. That's about it. So we would leave the configuration the way it is. And then, we'll come back after 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'll see that, everything will be online by default. So this is the benefit of having FT, that you don't have to do anything. All the configurations would happen automatically. Okay. Even though if one goes down, the other one will automatically, resume it. Just give it some time, take a coffee break, and then, that should be it. So we'll come back to this. Okay. So we spoke about fiber channel, and we understand, what fiber channel is and how it works. Let's talk about let's talk about ISCSI, the other option. What ISCSI is, how do you configure it, and what are the options? So remember, iSCSI is completely opposite to fiber channel. Fiber channel was expensive. Why? Because you have to buy these additional components, the additional equipment that you have to buy, which basically takes the cost on the higher side. With iSCSI, you are basically using your existing infra. Okay. So what you have existing is, your physical network cards, your physical switches, the physical cables that you have, the copper RJ45 cables, and you can basically use those. You don't have to buy anything special over here. That is why iSCSI is, used by a lot of customers, wherein you do not have to do anything special over here. You have the regular configuration, and you can get the things going over here. Now, with iSCSI, um, okay, there is one more thing that I need to tell you in fiber channel, that in fiber channel there is no IP. Okay, the ESXi, the fiber channel switch, and the storage, they don't talk to each other over IP, they talk to each other over WWNNs. So when you have this connectivity, fiber channel and the ESXi, they are basically talking over, configuring over WWNNs. So you don't have any IP concept over here, that you have to put an IP on the fiber channel and then, it will basically communicate. No, it is not over IP. However, with iSCSI, here, all the configurations happen over IP. So here we are using IP address. That is why we are able to use the regular physical network card, the physical switch, and the physical cable. And in comes the IP configuration as well. So with iSCSI, you have a concept of client and a target. So your storage becomes your target and your ESXi is your client. So the ESXi reaches out to the storage over IP, gets the information of the data stores of the volumes, and then you basically present and create a data store. That is how the configuration basically looks like. Okay. So here, if I show you in my lab, what we have done is that for us, our storage is open filer. Okay. So for us, the target that we have is open filer because this is the storage that I have in the lab. And then my client is ESXi. So ESXi connects to OpenFiler over IP. Okay. Now this connectivity, how will ESXi, reach out to the target? Over SCSI configuration. So here you need a SCSI configuration. So what VMware does is that it gives a SCSI configuration for free. So when you go to ESXi, when you go to configure, when you go to storage adapter is the tab wherein all your storage devices will be listed over here. So be it fiber channel, be it iSCSI, whatever you have will basically be listed under storage adapters over here. So by default, you have few basic ones over here. So for example, if you choose the last one over here, if you go to the devices, you would see that, it will basically tell you that which device it has and what is the backing it has. Okay. Now, always remember the naming convention. So this is the local CD-ROM. Okay, the CD-ROM that I have on my virtual ESXi, that is what it is referring to. The other one is basically the local 10 gig hard drive that I have on which I installed the ESXi. That is what you see over there. Now remember over here that this naming convention that you see over here, again, this is something that cannot be changed. Okay. So when we were talking about the storage, I'm sorry, when we were talking about the network cards. So in network cards, we basically, saw over there that you have the naming convention. You see the naming convention over here, you have VMNIC 0, VMNIC 1, 2, 3, and that is how the naming convention you have over here. Similarly, when you go to the storage, so on the storage side, you would see the naming convention as VMHBA. Now, these are few default naming conventions that VMware has come up with. And for so many years, I mean, this is how the configuration has been. You cannot rename the physical network cards from VMNIC 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the way it will be. Similarly is the case over here as well. For the storage adapters, you will see it as VMHB and all the numbers that you will see over here. So any card that you put over here with reference to storage, be it an ISCSI card or a fiber channel card or whatever it is, the naming convention will be the prefix for the naming convention will be VMHBA. This is something that you will have by default, VMHBA, and then followed by the number, 65, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever it is, that basically VMware gives. Okay. So this is how the naming convention is. So when you look at your adapters, you would have, couple of them as the default ones. Not every time you will have a component over here. So if you see the target, the volume and the path. So the two of them in the middle are basically zero. They are blank. They are there, because of the basic configuration. That's about it. But you don't have anything over there. Now, the other components have something connected to them. So if you basically check these have something connected to them. So how would you verify what is connected to them? Simply you basically choose the adapter, then you come to the devices tab.